DIY or Die, Walker Vapor Group LLC, or any of its associates do not condone nor encourage the use of nicotine, vapor products, or any mood-altering substances without the explicit consent of a physician. The content viewable on this channel is strictly for entertainment purposes only and not meant to be seen as informational or educational. Must be 21 years or older to view these materials.
Silky Beat. Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the MIXINVIXENS. My name is Emily, also known as mlNikon. Let's say hello to our other Vixens. First up, we've got Jennifer, TheJuiceFairy. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing?
How are you doing?
Good.
Good. And we have Mixtress Rin. Hi, Rin.
Hello.
How's it going?
My light decided to go off exactly right before the show, so that's why it's dark.
Oh, well, your face lit up enough with the monitor. It's okay.
It's gonna have to do. This is the Shindo filter.
Shindo filter. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Perfect. Oh,
but
God.
you still look brighter than he did.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
So that helps.
Oh, goodness. Man, how was everyone's weekend?
My weekend was good. It just got really interesting right before the show. My husband's been doing renovations. He's in between one job and another. So he's got like 2 weeks here at home. So for the last week, he's been doing all the stuff that he always puts off in the yard and just renovating stuff. Well, he warned me earlier that he was turning off the water, but he didn't warn me when he was doing it. And I was in the middle of cooking and I'm making a meatloaf and I had ketchup on my hands because I washed my hands and I spread the ketchup and the mustard at the top with my hands. And then I go to turn on the water and I was like, ah!
Oh, no.
I had to go find bottled water and open that up as best I could without making a total mess, and then wash one hand and wash the other. And I was like, this is a total fail. Then I walked outside. I said, thanks for the warning. He goes, I told you I was doing it. I said, that was 2 hours ago. Thanks.
Yeah, right? Wow. Well, at least you had some bottled water around that you could find and use.
Yeah, I always have bottled water. And if all else fails, I always have unsweet tea in the fridge. So I could have just poured some tea on my hands.
Sure.
It doesn't have sugar. I would just melt like tea for a little bit.
There you go. Yeah, that's all right. My weekend's been pretty good. I actually met up with some friends and went on a hike this morning. Haven't done that in a while, so that was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you guys hike, do you guys go up mountains or where do you guys go?
Normally there's the path that we like to go a lot is just kind of it follows a river and goes through the woods. So it's not very mountainous. It doesn't really it's not that hard of a hike, it's more of a stroll through the woods.
A stroll through the woods.
Yeah.
Okay, I do my little walking trail. They have it, it's actually in the trail maps of North Carolina. And I was like, this is in the trail maps. It's local to me and it's by one of the, I guess, lakes, rivers, whatever the hell you want to call it, offshoots of a river here in North Carolina. And I mean, it ain't that big of a deal, but I guess it's 2.5 miles. So they dubbed it.
They put it in a trail.
Yeah.
Nice.
Put it as a sightseeing site.
Huh.
I was like, oh,
Nice.
okay. In my town? Interesting.
How about you, Rin? Did you go bowling this weekend?
No. We do it like every other week.
Okay.
So this was the week off.
Yeah.
Started reorganizing my rooms. That was like a big chunk of what I did. Gave Robert, my plant, a haircut, his first haircut. Because his vines were like 6 feet long, like legitimately, like one of them, it was just out of control. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So like I did a bunch of like Googling like Because I mean, at some point you gotta like do something, otherwise the whole room's just gonna be a vine.
Yeah.
And I found out that you're supposed to like prune them. I guess that's what it's called. There's a specific way to do it so it doesn't like damage them or whatever. And then you can also propagate them. So you turn the little sections into new plants.
Oh.
So that's what I'm trying to do. We'll see. I've
Nice.
never
So then Robert will get fuller.
that, and there'll be more Roberts because like there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So some of them are
Cool.
gonna go back, in the one, and then I'm gonna make like another Robert. So it'll be like Robert Jr.
Robert Jr.
Bobby Jr.
Robert
There you go.
Awesome.
I'm still trying to actually, it's the first plant that I've kept alive for, I think it's been 5 months now. But it's on my windowsill in water. It is a vine, so all it's doing is getting roots, but it's still alive.
Hey, that's something. I have a black thumb and I kill anything that even tries to live in my house. So
I'm surprised that this plant has stayed alive. Like it's very resilient. So if you want to like get into plants, it's a pothos.
okay.
And they're like the easiest plant to take care of. Like I've had him for like 5 years now. It's been a long time.
Cool. Yeah, I remember when
I
he's the
remember
one
when you
got
got
from
him.
your masseuse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still watch that video every now and then because it's funny.
It is funny. It is funny. All right, let's get into some mixing, guys. As you can see from the profile here in the corner, Jennifer picked this one. Surprise, surprise.
I regretted it immediately after I mixed my first couple of batches of this.
Did you really? You had
Yes.
some trouble with this, huh?
Yeah, because I wanted to make a tea. And I also wanted to make a bourbon. And then I was like, oh, which one am I making? So then I just made up my mind. And I said, I'm going to make the tea. And I failed. I failed once miserably. The second time, miserably. It was good. I thought it was like, oh, this is commercial grade right here. And then 2 days later, that shit went flat, muddy, mess. It was disgusting.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah,
sometimes it'll just fall apart after in a steep.
I was so frustrated that I didn't even use the same flavors. I know exactly which flavor did it. I tried to use Rhapsody from FA, which is a tobacco, but it's just leafy, so it has a tea note on it. It has a very distinct tea leaf type note, but then that tea leaf was like a dried tea leaf and not like a juicy tea leaf. So I could have just eliminated that and just boosted and moved everything around. I was so pissed. I just took and just did another completely different mix.
Screw it. I'm just using everything new.
Yes. I was like, move all this crap out of my way. Let's just start over.
Nice. Yeah, I don't really do teas very often. So, like I don't really know how to do it. So I just kind of use my standby of TFA sweet tea and then just lean into that shit like hardcore and then build around it. So, I mean,
well, that's actually what I did.
My mix is tasty,
after my first one failed. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go with the tried and true.
Yeah. Like my mix is tasty, but it's not something that I would mix again just because it's not like my preferred kind of profile, Rin, did you enjoy mixing this up?
Not particularly. I don't tend to like a lot of teas, especially like black teas, because ideally I'd want it to be a black tea with peach in it. But I can't do most peaches, and I don't really care for black tea, like a sweet tea.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my mix is all right. It's nothing, again, like you said, I would go out of my way to like mix again, but it's a tea.
It's a tea. So if you guys like tea, stay tuned because we're gonna go over what we made. And like I said, mine's tasty. It's just not something I like to vape a lot. So who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
Mine's really quick. So since I can't do peach, I did nectarine because TFA
Oh.
nectarine tastes like peach to me. Because I
It
mean,
sure does.
they're the same thing, except in
Yeah.
real life, one's fuzzy, one's not.
Yeah, basically.
And for whatever reason, the TFA nectarine doesn't bother me, so I use that. 0.75. I did 0.3 Flavora sweet mango, just because mango and peach go well together.
Mm-hmm.
And then 0.3 Flavora red tea, because I figured I never use that flavor. Why not?
Yeah, and you know what? The Flavora tea, all the Flavora teas are really good. But red tea, you're right. That's something that I don't really use very often either. And it would be really good in this, especially with the mango and the nectarine, I think.
Yeah, because the problem with some teas and even some of the flavoras is they can be a little bit floral. Like the
Mhm.
acai is floral, but I actually like that. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want a floral tea for this. That's why I didn't use like their black tea, because their
Mhm.
black tea is a little bit floral to me. The red tea is a little bit more earthy,
Yeah.
which is what I wanted. So
Yes.
that's why I went that way.
Awesome. Yeah. And
I was afraid of trying anything else with a tea note after my fiasco. So kudos to you, Ren.
it actually looks pretty good. If I enjoyed vape teas, I think I would like this because TFA nectarine is really good, and that new Flavora sweet mango, that's a good mango too. And you're right, mangoes and peaches they belong together. They go so well together.
Yep, they go hand in hand.
And I
I feel
like
like
it.
it
Yeah,
might be
nice and
split up a
simple,
bit.
and it looks tasty.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, I guess I'll go next. I only have one more flavor than you do. Mine's pretty simple too. Like I said, I did TFA sweet tea as the base. I did that at 8%. And you guys, some of you may see that and be like, whoa, that's a lot. But you know, TFA sweet tea is weak. It's really good and has a great tea flavor, but it's really weak. And so you can lean into it. You can go 10, 12% if you wanted. But I did 8%. And then I backed it up with 1% Flavora lemon tea because I just think it's a good tea flavor. And that little bit of lemon, it doesn't off-put anything. It doesn't really like outshine the peaches. As for the peaches, I did a combination of 1% in Aware peach and 0.5% of the Chef Super Concentrate peach apricot. Just because the peach apricot, I don't know if you guys have tried this one yet.
You and your chef's flavors? No, I have not.
You have, yeah. Well, I had to try them all for noted. I'm like, so whenever I get a chance, and I was pretty impressed with them. So whenever I get a chance, I'll use them. But the peach apricot is pretty good. In fact, Rin, I wonder if you might be able to do this one because it's more like syrupy and like sweet. It doesn't have like that much of a sharpness. There's a little bit there, but it's more bassy. And then of course in Awera peach, as you guys know, that's where like the kind of the sharpness, like the high end comes in. And so I used both to round it out and make a full peach. So I suggest that I put an ATF, I think 5 days steep, because just so that Inaware peach can die down a little bit and not be as harsh, because it's a sweet natural peach. It's a very bright flavor, but it can be kind of astringent, it can be kind of harsh, especially if you're sensitive to that. So I suggest letting it steep for a few days. But yeah, it turned out really good. It's a nice balance between the peach and the tea. For me, the lemon, like I said, doesn't really stand out. It just kind of lends some brightness to it, which I really like. So it's tasty.
Looks good. Looks good. I see that 8% is perfectly fine with the TFA sweet
Yeah.
tea. Of course, I'm going to say that. I use the same thing. I leaned in heavier than you did. So when you were saying you leaned in, I said, I wonder what they're going to think when they see mine. But that looks really, really well put together. And the Innerwear Peach, though, it does need a little bit of time. Did you find that when it was blended with the sweet tea, was it harsh at first?
It was harsh at first, yeah. And that's why I said I recommend like 4 or 5 days, because right away it is kind of harsh and it'll hit your throat, so it needs time to blend in a little bit better and kind of die down. But even after the time and after it dies down, it's not harsh anymore, but it still has a brightness to it, which is nice. So it's still a very much natural, real peach with a brightness, which I enjoy.
Gotcha. Well, I reckon I'll go next.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
I did apricot from FA because it's deep, it's tea-ish. It goes well with tea. I used that at 3%. And I boosted it a little bit with that sesame apricot that I had to get after Dave was bragging about it. And yellow peach from Capella. I used that at 5%. And I threw my sweet tea in there at 10%.
Yeah, sure.
It was good off the shake. It's very smooth. It wasn't harsh in the beginning. Not harsh at the end. It got really deep, dark, black tea-ish with apricot. Kind of like what you would get if you had a tea bag of an apricot or peach, not like fresh peaches or apricot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's that artificial tea. It's nice and sweet. It's good. It's a tea. It's not anything super special. I would put some WS-23 in there, but I figured it's nice warm too. So I just went simple because I had a disaster with my first one.
What is that sesame apricot like? I don't have any sesame.
I didn't single flavor test it. I just used it as an, but it smells very, very strong. It smells like it should not be anywhere above 0.75 to 1% on its own.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if apricot's a good one to use too in something like this, because it is really juicy and it is a little bit darker, so I think it would complement the tea.
It gave it like that tea juice vibe.
Yeah.
Like the ones you buy in the store that you just pop open and drink, not the kind that you would brew at home.
Yeah. Yeah, like the commercial sweet,
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks good. Awesome. All right.
Remind me not to pick a tea again.
Okay. You're gonna stick with bourbons and tobaccos from now on?
Yeah. Actually, no, I just want something fruity very often, and you guys are always doing bakeries, so I just picked something that looked refreshing. And then it turned out it wasn't so refreshing. It's more like a warm tea.
Yeah. It wasn't as that, because if you look at the picture, that's funny that all of us ignored the mint, because the picture has like the mint garnish, and we're all like, screw that, we're not doing
No,
it.
that'd be too much with the peach and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but I don't like a lot of fruits with mints. I only like citrus with mint. Like I can't do any other thing.
Yeah.
It reminds me of those cough drops, those Breeze cough drops.
Yes.
I hate them. Like it just
Fair enough.
Yeah, I totally ignored it.
Well, this wasn't that popular of a profile with our viewers either. We only had 2 people play along with us this week. So let's just get into that. I'll go ahead and do the first one. And it's Karen on ELR. She's just Karen S. And she did a peach green tea lemonade. #MB. She used 2.5% FA green tea, 3% Flavor West lemonade natural, 0.5% into where lemons kick, and 4% juicy peach by TFA. So I imagine this is very bright flavor. Now I don't remember FA green tea. I'm gonna have to look up on my notes.
It's a pretty good herbal tea.
Is it? I don't
Yeah.
think that I don't have any notes on it. That's interesting. So it's like a pretty good herbal tea.
Yeah, it's actually better than their black tea by a long shot.
Oh, I would hope so. Their black tea is awful.
And
Yeah.
their green tea does go well with peaches.
Oh, good. Yeah, juicy peach. Nothing wrong with that. Using that as a peach for it. And then I like how she used a little bit of lemon's kick to back up the Flavor West Lemonade Natural. Because if I remember correctly, Flavor West Lemonade Natural is very like country timey, you know, and like kind of a little bit bassier, like a little bit, it's very sweet. It's very, you know, so you use a little bit of that lemon's kick, which is a very bright, very natural, like almost zesty kind of lemon in there, and to kind of give it a boost. I think that's a good idea, and I bet this tastes pretty good. So sounds great.
You want me to read off Sam's?
Sure. Yeah, Sam is the other guy who played along. Good old Sam.
He did apple cider for Wonder Flavors at 2.5.
Okay.
Black honey tobacco at 3.5. Now, bear with him because that black honey tobacco just tastes like honey without the cat test. But 3.5 is quite
That's
quite
a dirty
sweet.
honey at 3.5.
That is that's going to be very sweet.
Yeah.
Blush Chablis wine from Flavor West at 4.4%. I don't know what that tastes like. Country apple from Pure Lum at 2.5. Rich cinnamon from Flavora at 0.5. Tartlin at 1.5. Now I do know, so he's going for an apple cider. This looks like a very good apple cider. Only thing, and I'm going to go ahead and critique him a second, that would throw this like completely into wonderful land was if he would have used 0.25% liquid amber.
Well, yeah, but both country apple and tartan or whatever, however you say it, they're already a very like cooked bakery type apples.
Yeah, but that in a apple cider that it doesn't necessarily cook the apples. It actually gives you the cider note. The liquid amber does.
Well, I wonder if that's what he's doing with the Blush Chablis or whatever.
That's true too. And I don't know what that tastes like. I've never had that either.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's kind of doing the thing of liquid amber.
Yeah, maybe. I've never had that. So there's a very good possibility.
And I have heard that black honey tobacco doesn't really taste like tobacco. That
At
it's
all.
just a good darker honey.
Yes.
Without the cat pee taste
Without the cat
or aroma, which is nice.
And it's very, very sweet. So this is going to be very, very sweet. This is going to make somebody's cavities hurt.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, Sam, if you're watching.
Thank you, Sam.
How does he already have a rating on it?
Huh?
So how does he already have a rating on it? Did he rate his own recipe?
Yes.
No, he wouldn't do that.
That just means he liked it. He'll make it again.
He's a pretty popular guy. I'm sure he's got a lot of followers. And you know, don't they get notifications when you're following makes a recipe? So,
and he probably dropped it before today.
Yeah, probably. I'm guessing that's what happened. But yeah, it's gonna be a short show tonight, guys. I think that's about it. Like I said, there's only 2 people that play along. Libby's not here today. She didn't give us her recipe, so can't go over that.
And next week we have chit chat, so there's no
Next
picture to go
week-
over.
Yep, next week will be chit chat. I will not be here next week. It's the Canadian Thanksgiving, so I will be cooking dinner and having dinner with my wife's family.
Oh, can't
So,
wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait for you to show those pictures of those keto desserts that you're gonna make.
Oh, screw that. No, I'm full on cheating. I am carving out. Now,
Okay.
last year and the year before, I think I did make like keto sides and like keto food, and I kept it on plan. But this year, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna just go all out and just eat carbs. I don't care.
You're gonna be so tired the next day.
I know, right? Yeah, sometimes it doesn't agree with me anymore. I may have some trouble, but you know what? It's worth it. Once a year, sometimes twice a year, I'll go all out and
That's
have
how
a-
that's as it should be. You shouldn't deprive yourself completely.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, let's thank our friends over at Bull City because we love them.
Yes.
I went and
thank you,
visited
Bull
them this
City.
week.
Thank you very much for Vora. Wayne, thank you so much for putting us on your podcast network. And if you like what we do, we got some one-shots you can check out at DIYFlavorChaser.com, or if you're shopping at chefsflavors.co.uk under MIXINVIXENS, we've got those same one-shots for sale there as well. So hit us up. Ren and I still have one-shots at flavorjungle.com if you're shopping over there as well. We really appreciate it. If not, we love you anyway. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week for Chit Chat. Bye.